Hi, I'm Cherie, candidate for Panama City Beach, City Council, Ward 4. I'm running because I love our city. I have the experience and dedication to make a difference here. I believe our government should listen to and work for its people. I will be focusing on our community, our environment, and I will always be an advocate for transparency. On April 21st, vote for me, Cherie. My name is Cherie, candidate for Panama City Beach, City Council, Ward 4. I approve this advertisement.
See, now you guys will see that's what I do over on the other platform. So thank you guys for joining. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful Monday. I've got people on both platforms. I really appreciate everyone being here. So a lot of things are going on in Florida politics, especially here in the Panhandle. And I apologize, allergies are getting to me. The Florida Panhandle politics, especially with what's going on right now, the state of Florida is fun. I think all of us can admit that. There's a lot of hate, fear, greed. All of these things are happening here in the state that I absolutely love. I am a native Floridian. I was born in Pensacola. My dad was in the Navy. So I'm from here. I am for here. I love my state of Florida. But what I don't like about the state of Florida is the hate, the fear, and the greed that is becoming normalized here across the Republican Party. And I say that in a way that is 100% correct. If you look locally at the Bay County Republicans, you will know that they were able to get Doc Rohan elected. This particular man, who is now going to be the mayor of Panama City. I'm going to go for his inauguration, the ceremony, the swearing-in ceremonies this week. We are going to have 3 brand new council members in Panama City. Now, this particular man, it was a very large propaganda campaign. It really was. It was a campaign to really around hate. In fact, you know what? Let me go onto Facebook real fast. Let me pull up, if I can pull up one of his, one of the things that happened for this. Now, you're going to say, why didn't people get out and make sure that somebody didn't get voted in? But he has some great plans to move the city forward. I see that he was on the Veronica show. And of course, the Republican Executive Committee is very happy that a Republican is now going to be the mayor of Panama City. So looking through here, let me see, election headquarters. Oh, here we go. We can actually, some of these commercials. So I'm going to play you guys some of the commercials that are here. I need to get the yard stream to be able
I'm sitting here on the back porch with several of my grandchildren. Now you can see why I am fighting so hard for the quality of life here in Panama City. The parents of these children remember thunderous fireworks and festive Christmas boat parades. The Civic Center was where we enjoyed milestone graduation ceremonies. Because Hurricane Michael devastated the area, we need to rebuild the marina and the Civic Center. We can do this if we all work together. Vote Doc Rohan for mayor on May 16th.
add myself back to the stream over here. For him to act like he's the only one that wants this and it's the mayor's job to do this is absolutely just, let's see here. There we go. awesomeness is absolutely everybody's job, not just the mayor's. And there is a plan in place and things have been worked on. But I get it. So let's go down here and let's see what else do we got here. We got lots of, I'm not going to go through the 16-minute radio ad. But I'll do, yeah, he had a bunch of videos about wasteful spending and the boat dunk. And he even sent out a letter blaming the mayor. There was a lot of things that went on here. But one thing is for sure, that the new mayor of Panama City, his son is a registered sex offender. Yes, Florida can be awful, but we are proud here with our Say Gay t-shirts that I'm making for Pride. We're absolutely proud of all of this. So I just don't understand how we've gotten to this place where a man who is now our mayor, his son is a registered sex offender, and I actually shared some other things about this before. He actually went in front of the city council to try to get rules changed around how close sex offenders can live towards parks and schools because his son was a registered sex offender. So, what is the Republican Party? And if you think a dictator is the best, let's talk about what actually DeSantis is doing. And we can absolutely go through how we're willingly, not me, but the Republican Party is willingly giving away their rights. So back to the beginning. I'm Cherie Krim. I thank you guys for being here. This is Florida Politics. We're going to talk about the Panhandle. We just mentioned Doc Rohan, who just is going to be inaugurated in as the new mayor of Panama City. Now, I want to be clear here to everybody who's online. Every Floridian deserves the freedom to be healthy, prosperous, and safe. None of this is difficult, but for some odd reason, we still think that other people should have more rights than other people do. And I'm not exactly sure how freedom means taking away rights from other people. So let's talk about some of the bills and let's talk about what is going on in Florida. Pride, drag shows, things being canceled. It is quite scary right now with that happening. It is something that we know locally. It'll be interesting to see what happens with our first local pride. So when you look at these bills are under the guise that they're actually helping. These bills are not helping. These bills are taking away rights. This is what happens within the medical conscious law is absolutely terrifying. It absolutely is. These are all under the guise of taking care of things, but this is fascism. This is hate. This is even something that the Republican women are seeing. Hundreds of Republican women I spoke to this year. Hundreds here locally. They're not so keen on this pure hate agenda that Ron DeSantis thinks. And if we go backwards, and I know last show we talked about the Southern strategy and how that fits into what's going on today, but the Southern strategy was, right, to be racist, right, to put it out there because they were against desegregation. They liked segregation, right? They didn't want equal rights. Well, at that point, the Republicans decided that they wanted to be the white man's party. Well, now the Republicans have decided they want to be the straight white man's party, and that's exactly what they're doing. So we're going to go look at, I'm going to be pulling up a deck and reading through some things because we've been going through, name one assault rifle platform. I don't know who you are, but I don't need that. All right. Bye-bye. All right. So all issues are women's issues. I want to be clear on that. I think that, and when I say women's issues, people with uteruses issues, whatever you want to go down the path of, but all issues matter. Because if it's taking away rights from somebody or if it's causing harm to someone, there is a problem. So, oh, goodness gracious. There was approximately 1,800 bills filed during special session and regular session. Of the bills, we tracked a bunch of them as the Democratic Women's Club of Florida. And we had quite a few high priority bills that we wanted to see pass, the ones that we did support, right? So there was good things in there, and then there were bad things in there. So we're going to go down to the ones that we did not support. And let's see. We call it the slate of hate agenda. So for all of you out there, it's the slate of hate here in the state of Florida. It is, thinking about these bills. So SB 1718, immigration. This was signed into law just on May the 10th. Does anybody out there know what it does? This immigration law. It fines and penalizes businesses that hire undocumented immigrants. It imposes random audits by law enforcement for compliance. Criminal penalties for transporting undocumented immigrants into Florida. It invalidates out-of-state licenses of undocumented immigrants, tickets them if caught, and sends their name to a state list. It forces hospitals to track and regularly report numbers and costs of care of undocumented immigrants. And it gives $12 million to DeSantis this year to continue his migrant flight program like he did last year and sent migrants from another state. I think he flew in from Texas somewhere. I think so. Most of the country was not real keen on the DeSantis, what he did, little stunt there around all of that. Most people were not so happy about it. But the criminal penalties for transporting undocumented immigrants into Florida, that's where it's kind of iffy. It's not just into Florida. It could be, let's just say you work with Rodrigo. I don't know. Let's say you work with Roger. Roger's an illegal immigrant, undocumented immigrant. You're transporting Roger. Did you know? No. Are you liable? You could be. And that right there is the problem with laws like this. When they go and pass these things, is they're not thinking of, they want to import their hate against people who are black and brown, right? Because white supremacy here in the South is very, very common. But it just blows my mind that we think that this is a good bill. Whew. SB 254. This was the treatment for sex reassignment. This bans new gender-affirming prescriptions and procedures in minors, threatens healthcare providers of transgender youth with criminalization. Why would we threaten a healthcare provider for providing life-saving care? This is the kicker, and this one I've had the conversation with more than once. It restricts adult gender-affirming care, and it can only be delivered by physicians. And it requires an informed consent form, which, by the way, they haven't developed yet. They have no form yet, but it requires it. And this was signed into law last week. And we have no form, but you have to have this form to be able to get seen by a physician. And at the first visit, and it bans government-provided health insurance coverage for this. Absolutely ridiculous. When you think about only being able to get your medication from a physician, how many of us out there get our medication today from a physician's assistant? 80 to 90% of us, because the physician's assistants are doing the work, right? Especially in the smaller towns. They are the ones writing the prescriptions. So I can go over to my gynecologist and my physician's assistant can write me a prescription for birth control pills. which is gender affirming care. But yet they're not allowed to write any prescriptions for any hormones anymore for adults. The bill was never about the kids, and we all know that. It was about finding a way to hurt transgender adults, and that's what they're doing. Then lastly, let's not forget, in this particular bill, it allows the courts to intervene in custody agreements when one parent disagrees with the other parent to seek access to gender affirming care for their minor child in another state. Can you see it now? The police coming into your house because a spouse says that you're allowing your son to dress up in a dress and he doesn't like that. Do you see what's going to happen? This isn't something that is going to be positive. So if there's any comments out there right now, we are going through the bills, the slate of hate here in the state of Florida. So if you'd like to learn about the bills, that's what we're covering right now. I know I've got live people on multiple streams here, but I wanted to recap that and get us there. So somebody over on the TikTok said, my son saw an ANRP for his hormones. Thankfully, he found a doctor and will continue. But yes, private law will wipe out the private insurance too. The fact of the matter is they don't want to provide any type of health care if you're transgender because they think it's a sin. Period. Their religion has blanketed them with hate. I honestly am not sure why. No, I take this back. Every LGBTQ person, really, when you think about it, if you're a straight white Republican and you see these people out there that are happy and you're miserable, because I don't know too many happy Republicans. I'll say it that way. You're out there miserable and you see these happy people. What do you think? Oh my goodness. Yes, I guess if you want this person over here, I'm going to block you. Bye-bye. If you want a dictator, absolutely, I can understand why you might want Ron DeSantis. But if you actually look at history and you see where we're going, number one, go look at Hitler and see what he did. Is absolutely something that matters to know our history. Because if you know your history, you won't repeat it, right? You would think so. But you never know, because that's what we're doing right now here in the state of Florida. And I truly don't believe that the rest of the country is going to put up with what Ron's doing here in the state of Florida. But now I'm going to step back and I'm going to say, I remember in 2016 in the state of Georgia, they stood up and they said, if you pass, the movie studios, Marvel, etc., and Hollywood said, if you pass a bathroom ban for transgender, we're going to take all of our business from the state of Georgia. They didn't pass it. It is now 2023, and here in the state of Florida, this has been passed 7 years later. What businesses are threatening to leave the state of Florida? What businesses are really standing up other than Disney? Does anybody know of a business that's really standing up? I know the LGBTQ centers are. I know more progressive businesses and nonprofits are, but nonprofits can only do so much, right? So the trans bathroom bill, which is just absolutely ridiculousness, makes it a second-degree misdemeanor for an adult to willfully enter restrooms or changing rooms in schools, prisons, detention centers, and government buildings designated for the opposite sex. So if I was a man and I looked like this, they would expect me to go in the men's room. If I had a beard and I was a woman, they would expect me to go in the woman's room. It relies heavily on when you think about it being a vigilante type process in the restroom or changing facilities to police it and others to go tell employees about it, this is going to set up for violence. And honestly, I don't know any LGBTQ person that doesn't want to just use the bathroom. I don't know why everybody has such an issue with people who want to pee. Honestly, I have no idea why this has become, nobody cares. If a bad man is trying to go into the ladies' room, they're going to go in there, but they're not going to be a person who's dressed like a woman. Most likely not. It's most likely going to be that the men that have gotten caught doing this, right? I think there's been quite a few men, and I don't think any of them were part of the LGBTQ community, but that doesn't fit the narrative. So, oh my goodness. It's setting up violence. It's setting up a lot of things. And it's giving people the green light to harass people. And it's already happening. It happened to a woman because she looked like a boy and she was dressed like a boy, but you could literally see she was woman. You could kind of see her breasts under things. But he was so upset. He's like, okay, you can't use the bathroom. She's like, I'm a woman. Like, you look like a boy. What? You can't have it both ways. You tell us we have to use the bathroom that goes along with our agenda, but if we look like something, you're going to do this. It's going to set us up. There are so many lawsuits here in the state of Florida. The state of Florida is going to spend so much of our tax dollars on lawsuits. Oh my goodness. SB 1438. This one right here, everyone, is not about protecting the children, but it's the one that says protective of children. And it was effective immediately on 5/17 when he signed it. It is a vaguely worded bill that punishes a public business establishment if it admits children to adult live performance shows, which means defined as any show, exhibition, or other presentation in front of a live audience, which in whole or in part depicts or simulates nudity, sexual content, sexual excitement, or lewd content. So where's the line drawn on the interpretation of these shows, right? Because it bans a government entity from permitting or authorizing such a performance, such as pride festivals. If you've ever been to a pride festival, a family-friendly pride, there is no nudity, there's no sexual content, there's no sexual excitement or lewd content. But they're not going to care about that because they think every single drag performance is sexual. Why do they think that? I think that's something inside of themselves that they have going on. Why do they think that every drag performance is sexual? I don't know. I don't. I have been to my pride. I have been to every single one of the prides held in my town, and I will tell you, nothing inappropriate was done at any single pride event that a child was at. Now, at events that were over 18 at bars at night, that is a different story. I'm not saying that that isn't happening. I'm saying that at pride events that are family friendly, nothing has happened. But yet, that does not fit the narrative, and especially of my local Republicans who call me a groomer and a pedophile and a killer. But none of that's substantiated. But just because you're part of the LGBTQ community, you become one of those things. Just because that's how it works. All right, let's keep going. Let's look at a couple more bills here. Education. House Bill 1069. It is effective on 7/1. It was already signed into law. We knew that when they started the Don't Say Gay bill, the Don't Say They expansion of last year's Don't Say Gay bill, that they were going to try to make it go through high school because they don't want anybody talking about LGBTQ because that does not go along with the narrative of, according to their religion, LGBTQ is a sin. So it expands the ban on instruction relating to sexual orientation and gender identity, age appropriate 9th to 12th grades, avoids acknowledgement of gender preferred pronouns through 12th grade unless aligned with biological sex at birth, even when the parents give them permission. This isn't about education. This is about harming children. Expands book banning process to allow just one objecting person to initiate removal process within 5 days objection before a review can be done. And it preempts school district discretion over sex ed instruction. Now, you know, what should be in every sexual education instruction? Do you know what it should be? consent. If we taught consent and what it actually meant to have sex, but we don't want to talk about that in the schools, because if we actually put in consent, there would probably be a lot more people out there calling rape. I can't tell you how many children in my high schools are pregnant right now because of sex that they did not want to have. Whether they want to call that rape, that is on them to do, but that is not on me, but it is the truth. Because it's hard to face the fact that when you live in our county, which, by the way, has a very high rate of sexual assaults, the Gulf Coast Sexual Assault Program is never not busy. I'll say it that way. And in fact, they've expanded across the Panhandle to start helping things here to keep track of things. I shouldn't say just keep track, but run the business and be able to help all of the survivors and the people that have had these things happen to them, had these disgustingness is what it is. And you know what would be fun? I have asked my elected leaders this, and I think I think I need to ask this every single time I'm at every single meeting, right? I would like all of my elected officials to always say the following: that real men don't try to sleep with underage girls. I wonder what would happen with that. Oh yeah, absolutely. I know I have somebody over here on TikTok talking about the foster and the adoption care and all of this around the abortion. And oh my goodness, we haven't even gotten to the abortion ban yet. Okay, so the don't say gay, let's just say it's a problem on purpose, and there's going to be lots of lawsuits. School choice. Really? This one is a what the fuck. Why is it that now we are going to give vouchers to every person who goes to a K through 12 student in Florida, even the children of millionaires that are sending their kids to private schools are now going to get a voucher? That's our tax dollars that millionaires don't need. Why are we giving millionaires our tax dollars? Because they're trying to put this tax dollars for schools into the private, into the charter, into those things. So it siphons money from the already underfunded public schools, where more than 85% of the students are enrolled. Conservatively, they think this is going to cost about $4 billion within the first 5 years, as public schools will lose $2.4 billion to $3.4 billion. Oh my goodness. And of course, the most at risk is all the poor school districts, which we have a lot of them here in my area. Higher education. This is going to be fun. SB 266. It forbids colleges, universities from funding courses and initiatives that espouse diversity, equity, and inclusion. Imagine saying out loud, I'm racist, I'm homophobic, I'm transphobic, and I'm sexist. That's what this bill says from the Republicans. Why would the Republicans want to forbid classes on this? It doesn't make any sense. It's only education. Education makes you smarter. Are you worried about critical thinking? That's where I think this is going. And it prohibits general education courses that distort significant historical events. It teaches identity politics, and it's based on theories that systemic racism, sexism, oppression, and privilege are inherent in U.S. institutions. It restricts faculty hiring and more frequent tenure review to the president, board, and the trustees. Wow, y'all. And you know what happened in New College? Go look up New College. No one cares about a person's sexuality. That is true, but apparently here in the state of Florida, we do. Apparently here in the state of Florida, we care about it, and we want to legislate who you sleep with and how you do it and who you talk to about it. All right. Oh, goodness gracious. Opposed. We also opposed SB 256, which is the employee organizations representing public employees, which is our union busting bill. It's directed at female-dominated and low-income public unions, such as teachers and healthcare workers, but it exempts all of the male-dominated such as your law enforcement, your corrections, your probation officers, and your firefighters. What law is trying to control who you sleep with? It's talking about who I love, the education bill. So I'm a native Floridian. I actually love it here, and I'm not going anywhere. But thanks for the troll. Not happening there. Public safety. We now have permitless carry here in the state of Florida. Yep, it eliminates the need for a permit to carry a concealed weapon. That is correct. SB 300. This is our near total abortion ban here in the state of Florida. It is effective. It's signed into law on 4/13, but it will be effective after the Supreme Court hands down the decision about privacy clause relative to the 15 weeks. So the Florida Supreme Court right now has in it the 15-week abortion ban, which was last year's hate bill. Now it is going to decide, is that bill good or bad? And if they say it's bad and we can't have a 15-week abortion ban here in the state of Florida, well, if you can't have a 15-week, you can't have a 6-week. So it's going to cause some issues. So who knows how this is going to go. But it absolutely is. There's an exception put in. They did put the exception in for human trafficking because I asked for that. But rape, incest, and human trafficking are the only things there. Now, do you think wealthy people are going to have a problem getting an abortion if they want one? Does anybody believe that? No. They're not. They're going to be able to go where they want, to the states that allow it. Goodness gracious. SB 1580 is protections of medical conscience, which essentially is a license to discriminate in healthcare. So states, healthcare providers have the right, and payers have the right, to opt out of participation in or payment for certain healthcare services on the basis of conscience-based objection. So if I don't like you as a man, can I actually say I don't want to serve you? I wonder. That's a really good question, because they're not going to be able to serve LGBTQ, right, based on how they feel. They could not help a woman if she's having an abortion or something along those lines. It's very interesting. It's going to see how it goes. All right. Voting and elections. Third voter suppression bill in 3 years, SB 7050. This one is at the third-party registers, like Legal Women Voters, Democrats, Republicans, etc., that are instrumental in registering voters in disadvantaged and low-income communities. So it requires all of these third-party voter registration organizations to re-register every general election cycle, provide a receipt to everyone they register with the name of the registrar, and submit registration forms within 10 days to the SOE, otherwise significantly increasing fines. So they're trying to make it harder for people to get people to register to vote. It's absolutely crazy. It places the burden of knowing voting registration eligibility on the voter, not the state. So it authorizes the election police to investigate infractions. Yes, because we have election police here in the state of Florida. And the state's resign to run law doesn't apply. Now, this is the key here, to president or vice president. But anybody else who wants to run for something has to resign their position to run. At least it's supposed to be that way. But not for Ron DeSantis. He gets to do it because he got the law changed. All right. There's going to be on the ballot in 2024 making school boards partisan. We get to decide in 2024, do we want the school boards to be partisan? And then the school board limit for school board members are now down to 8 years. So school board members can only be on the school board for 8 years. I agree in term limits. I think everything needs to turn around. And lastly, an elected candidate for district school board must resign in the district school board member residence area by the date she or he assumes office instead of upon qualifying for office. So I don't have to live in that school district district area until I win. So can I run for school board anywhere and just move there if I win? I mean, it's kind of crazy how you see how this is going to go. Women and children. So much going on. Yep. The death penalty, the jury recommendations in the death penalty cases. You only need 8 out of 12 jurors now instead of full. Yeah, that's where we are. I've spoken with hundreds of Republican women in my area during this session. The Republican women are very much seeing what is going on. They understand, but they still think they're Republicans. So I want to be clear. If you are a Republican and you want to sit by and keep your mouth shut while all of this hate is happening, you are compliant in the hate, period. That's the answer. You're compliant in the hate. Your silence equals complicity. And that is what we all have to go through. That is where we're at. There is no more of this. And I've said this to Republican women. And they're starting to see through the lies. Complicit, compliant. They're compliant too in it. They're compliant in the hate. They're allowing the hate. Complicit, compliant. They're all of it, right? With the hate. Absolutely. If you're not saying anything, silence equals complicity and it equals compliance. I mean, you're doing what your dictator tells you to do. And if you don't think we're at the beginning of fascism, go research Hitler and what happened in Germany, because we're here. The state of Florida is scary. And I actually went on a rant yesterday about effing Florida, because fighting effing fascism and effing Florida is kind of hard because the hate doesn't stop. Even though our tax dollars are going to go against it, right? With all of these lawsuits, the hate doesn't stop. So words matter and values matter. Anybody in my area, anybody anywhere that's running, I want to know what your values are. My values are pretty cool. I believe in equity. I believe in equality. I believe in belonging, diversity, inclusion. I believe that everybody should live their lives the way they want to live their lives. I am not trying to take away. I got stuck on TikTok. I went live and then my face is stuck on the screen over on TikTok. There we are. Hi, TikTok. I'm back. I got stuck because my phone went a little crazy. So, all right, there we go. I think everything's back on now. So my values are, kindness. That's my book, The Business Case for Kindness. That's one of them. I believe in being kind. I believe love is love. I believe being fearless. I do have this FU, I'm the queen over here in the corner, but it is something that I believe. So what are your values? That's really what it comes down to. And that's what we talk about. We talk about values. And guess what? Their values align so much with the Democratic Party. But they've been taught that Democrats are bad. Democrats are bad. Well, let me tell you a quick story. Me being me, standing up for people's rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, anybody's rights, actually, because we all deserve here in Florida to have the freedom to be healthy, prosperous, and safe. It was probably about a year after I had given a speech. And she came up to me and she said, I thank you, because what you said that day gave me inspiration to want to continue to live my life. I said something trying to project my kindness and my love for people and to be able to educate, and I helped save her life. She's not the only one. I had a gentleman that said the same thing. And the gentleman's was a little different because I had a conversation with him. We were standing somewhere and I engaged in a conversation. Some of my friends will tell you I've never met a stranger. I can have a conversation with anybody, anywhere. And I did. And he looked me up and he thanked me because that day he was having a really bad day. And I helped him understand that he was a great person. I don't even remember what the discussion was about. That's my values. I believe in life and helping people. Imagine if your words and what you're doing is only out to hurt other people. You know, your words, instead of saving somebody's life, your words could be causing their death. You could be causing them pain. Why do we want to do that to people? There's no reason for it. We can be good to each other and we can be kind because kindness is our path forward. And I know that we're getting there every day. We have to go through this. It is. And I want to say at this point, I know it's Gen X, my generation. It's our civil rights battle. It's our adult. We are in our 40s and 50s. This is our battle. We have to step up and be the leaders that tomorrow needs. We need millennials. We need Gen Z as well to step up. I have no qualms if a baby boomer doesn't want to help because a lot of baby boomers don't want to help. But we need people who are willing to step up because we need more people who will say the hard things out loud and not be afraid to do it. So Bay County, what is it? What are our values? What do we care about? We have people in there that are going to be elected into the Panama City Council that are not LGBTQ friendly. And I don't even know if 2 of them are even women friendly. I don't even know if that's true. I guess we will see. I will go introduce myself, who I am, what I do, and how I can help them because that is the future. I'm here to talk to everyone because limiting yourself, that doesn't help us. I think we all know that. Ableism, the tie that they're trying to create autism and transgender individual. Oh, absolutely it is. And it's not just the autism. They're also in a way trying to link the ADHD medication. Like it's just crazy how they want to link in anything that is considered not normal to them and make it something else. I could just see it now. You're autistic and you don't have rights to vote or you don't have rights to make your own medical decisions now because you're autistic. You know, of course they're going to come after our ADA. We know, I mean, and that's why. So it's kind of funny seeing people be treated the way that they were in the Florida Capitol this session and last session. Since we were allowed in this session and the end of last year with the ones that happened. I remember in 2018, we went with the ADAPT folks, and I hope the ADAPT folks come back out about all this ADA stuff. And we went to do a sit-in in Marco Rubio's office with the ADAPT folks. And we went in there. We told him what we're doing. This poor guy that we ended up, the poor guy working for Marco Rubio, it was his last day, y'all. It was his last day. And he had no idea what was coming. So we tell him what we're going to do. We're like, we're not leaving. We're just letting you know that. Just happened to be earlier that day before we went up. I met Andrew Gillum downstairs. That was the first time I think I met Andrew Gillum. I met him many times after that, which, by the way, all those charges were dropped against Andrew Gillum. It's kind of funny how Ron DeSantis had to go after Andrew as a black man. But yeah, I have a fun TikTok about Andrew responding to one of DeSantis's responses in one of the debates. It's really good. But I told Andrew what we were there to do. And Andrew said, well, you know what? The Capitol Police are under the Tallahassee. And he's like, you're allowed to be there. Your tax dollars paid for this building. So you absolutely can be here. You can be here as long as you want to be here. So the police came up and told the guy they get to stay as long as they want. That's what we need. We need people to not knee jerk, hurt people, arrest people, all of those things. So What do we value, Bay County? What do we value, Florida? Do we value fascism? Do we value Hitler? Do we value freedom? Because I believe, as well as every single Democrat in the state of Florida, we believe that every Floridian deserves the freedom to be healthy, prosperous, and safe. So I appreciate everybody. It's been 45 minutes. We could keep going on here. I appreciate everybody joining. I'm going to go ahead and get off the live here on some of them and stay here on TikTok. Any questions on TikTok? I appreciate everyone and have a good night.